Memubot versus OpenClaw, who wins? You're spending hours setting up AI tools that crash. You're burning through API credits without even realizing it. You're fighting with terminal commands when you just want an assistant that works. The hype said these tools would save you time, but you're wasting more time than ever, and you're not alone. Hey, it's Julian, and today we're settling something that everyone keeps asking me about: Memubot versus OpenClaw. Which one actually works? Which one saves you time instead of wasting it? Which one won't drain your wallet or make you pull your hair out? Because here's what nobody's telling you about these AI agents. The setup horror stories are real, the costs are hidden, and most people pick the wrong tool for the wrong reasons. I'm going to show you exactly what both tools do, how they actually perform, what they really cost, and which one makes sense for your situation. No hype, no BS, just facts. OpenClaw launched in November 2025 as ClaudeBot. Then it became Moltbot in January 2026 after Anthropic complained. Then it became OpenClaw 3 days later because the creator said Moltbot never rolled off the tongue. 3 names in 2 months. That should tell you something about stability. It hit over 160,000 GitHub stars. Everyone called it the future of AI agents, but the reality is messier than the hype. Memubot launched in late January 2026. It was built specifically to solve the problems people were having with OpenClaw: the expensive API bills, the complex setup, the constant prompting. Keep that in mind as we go through this comparison. Let's talk about setup first, because this is where most people give up. OpenClaw requires Node.js version 22 or higher. If you're on Windows, you need WSL2. You need to understand local LLMS. You need to configure messaging app APIs. You need to set up system permissions. The documentation exists, but it assumes you know what you're doing. One review said it took 45 minutes for a technical user. Another said it took 2 hours for a developer to understand the full workflow. For non-technical users, it's a complete deal breaker. You're editing config files in the terminal, no GUI, no visual interface, everything through text files and command line. Now let's look at Memubot. Download and run, that's it. 1 minute setup according to multiple sources, no node version requirements, no terminal madness, no system configuration chaos. You download it like any other app, it runs, done. This isn't a small difference. This is the difference between getting started today versus giving up after an hour of errors. Now let's talk about how they actually work. OpenClaw waits for commands. You tell it what to do, it does it. You tell it the next thing, it does that. It's reactive. Every single action requires you to prompt it, check your email, organize these files, run this script. You're the one driving every step. And here's the problem with that: it keeps full conversation context with every single request. A 120,000 token context costs $1.80 in input costs per message with Claude Opus. One developer shared that they sent 12 messages, basic stuff, nothing complex. It costs them $40. Another developer reported a $623 API bill in a single month. One user burned through $20 overnight just from the agent running background tasks. The agent was running background processes they didn't even know about. Memubot works completely differently. It's proactive. It learns your patterns, your habits, your context. Then it acts before you even ask. You don't tell it to organize your files every morning. It notices you do that at 9 a.m. every day, and it starts doing it automatically. You don't prompt it to summarize your emails. It recognizes when you're overwhelmed and offers to help. This happens because of something OpenClaw doesn't have: long-term memory. OpenClaw has persistent memory across sessions, but Memubot builds a knowledge graph. It remembers your preferences from 3 days ago, your writing tone, your workflow patterns, which tools you use and when. This makes every interaction more relevant. And here's the cost part that matters. Memubot uses memory to keep context small. Instead of sending 120,000 tokens every time, it sends what actually matters. This reduces token costs by 40 to 60%, according to the official comparison. OpenClaw users report spending anywhere from $50 to over $600 per month in API fees. Some heavy users hit $3,000 or more, and that's on top of the $20 to $100 per month you're already paying for Claude or GPT subscriptions. When I first started testing these tools, I made every mistake. I spent hours configuring, I burned through credits, I didn't know what actually worked. That's when I found this community called AI Profit Boardroom, with over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI. Let's talk about what happens when something goes wrong, because with both tools, things will go wrong. OpenClaw has been flagged by security researchers multiple times. A vulnerability in late January 2026 allowed attackers to steal authentication tokens through malicious links. Even running on localhost didn't protect you. Security experts from Palo Alto Networks called it a security nightmare. Because OpenClaw runs with full system access. It can read and write any file, run any terminal command, control your browser. Security researchers have documented the risk of accidentally executing destructive commands. Memubot runs locally too, but with smaller context windows and lighter models. It's not trying to be a God mode tool with unlimited access. That design choice matters when you're trusting something to run 24/7. Now let's talk about hardware. OpenClaw needs minimum 4 GB of RAM, 16 GB for production. Serious users run Mac Mini M4 Pro with 64 GB, $2,000. Plus, it needs to run 24/7. DigitalOcean VPS costs $24 per month. Oracle Cloud is free, but terminates accounts without warning. Memubot runs on regular hardware with lighter requirements, smaller models, shorter prompts, smarter architecture, no dedicated server needed. Let's look at integrations. OpenClaw connects to over 50 messaging platforms and has hundreds of community skills, some excellent, some security nightmares, no automatic vetting. Memubot focuses on core integrations that work reliably: Claude, Discord, GitHub, Gmail, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp. OpenClaw is complexity and power. Memubot is simplicity and memory. Here's what nobody talks about with OpenClaw: the maintenance. You're monitoring logs, updating security patches, managing API budgets, auditing skills, 4 to 8 hours of initial setup, plus ongoing maintenance. You need to understand Docker security, container isolation, and how to set spending limits. Memubot handles optimization automatically and learns what you need without constant configuration. Less power, but for most people, that's a relief. Let's get specific about use cases. OpenClaw is for developers who want full system control and understand the security risks. Memubot is for everyone else who wants an assistant that actually learns and doesn't require technical expertise. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. OpenClaw user asks it to build a React app and deploy it. It writes the files, installs packages, runs the build script. That's impressive, but it took multiple prompts, high token usage, and required the user to know what they wanted at every step. Memubot user has been writing blog posts for a week. The agent noticed the tone, the style, the structure. Next time the user says, write a blog post, Memubot already knows how. No reprompting, no explaining the style again. It remembered. That's the practical difference. One requires you to be the project manager for every task. The other learns to be your assistant. If you're looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over to or OpenClaw. Are you building or are you using? If you're building custom agent workflows and have the technical knowledge, OpenClaw gives you flexibility, but expect complexity, costs, and maintenance. If you're using AI to improve your daily work, Memubot wins. Faster setup, cheaper to run, smarter over time. For most people watching this, that's the answer. Pick the one that matches what you're actually trying to do. That's the video. If this helped you understand which tool fits your needs, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want more honest breakdowns of AI tools. No hype, just what actually works. I'll see you in the next one.